All right. Then for our next talk, we're going to dive into the world of Web3 and why Web3 needs great games. So for that, I would like to ask to the stage Brian Heimann from Solsten. Assuming he's already in the room. Hi. Getting mic'd up, so. How are we all liking our Pocket Gamer so far? Yeah. I'm pretty excited that Pocket Gamer gave me a good reason to come back to Toronto. All right, great. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you.
Clicker right there, so whenever you're ready.
Perfect. Appreciate it. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Day 2, end of the day. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Really appreciate it. My name is Brian Heimann. I'm the VP of Marketing over at Solsten, and we are powering the future of human-centric games by equipping game studios with deep psychological player understanding. So my goal for today is simple. I'd like each of you to understand the massive opportunity that gaming has inside of Web3 and why the player experience really needs to be the priority. You know, if we're all going to make it, we need to come together as leaders of this industry and work together to evolve the narrative of gaming inside of Web3. And so there might be some Web3 experts in this room, but for the rest, I'd like to give a quick history lesson as it will lay the foundation for why Web3 needs quality, resonating game experiences. And so retrospectively, reading content on something other than paper and eventually communicating real-time through instant messaging was revolutionary. But in the beginning, it was widely misunderstood and inaccessible for many. And so in this following clip, you'll be able to draw some similarities in between early internet discussions and discussions happening today in Web3. Okay, maybe not. But as we can fast forward into Web 2, this was the era of social connectivity, right? User-generated content, the rise of tech giants that, due to lax regulatory and privacy concerns, really ballooned into data powerhouses and really monopolizing behavioral as well as psychological, behavioral and personal data.
Well, Allison should know. What do you say about that anyway?
And so according to Edelman, trust in technology has been slowly declining in recent years and actually reached an all-time low in 2021. A second study from the Public Affairs Council reported similar results, placing trust in technology just slightly ahead of trust in pharmaceutical companies, energy companies, and health insurance companies. And so establishing consumer trust, for us here, player trust, is a key component for future success. It's a little early to predict the outcomes of games like Axie Infinity and Town Stars and Bomb Crypto, Decentraland, and Sandbox, but there's only 1,500 titles in Web3. Tremendous potential exists for studios and for publishers who seek opportunities for collaboration, who really embrace that player experience, and who focus on making great games. And so the journey towards Web3 is dizzy, as new ideas and communities and technologies hurtle towards this next digital epoch operating under an ethos of decentralization. The shortcomings of Web2 really provide the foundation for solutions in Web3, yet mass adoption is still a distant reality. We're living in a time when cryptocurrency is being advertised during the Super Bowl, yet only 12% of Americans actually used it last year. Low adoption certainly cannot be attributed to lack of diversity within crypto. There's 18,000 different currencies and over 450 different exchanges. But as with any emerging market without any regulation, really, or refined governance, the landscape is a battle of human nature. You have virtuous pioneers versus greedy, manipulative, bad actors. And this is where we can all play a part. Everybody here is participating in Web3 to an extent, to evolve the narrative of gaming inside of Web3. It's going to take encouraging friends, family, colleagues to just genuinely become interested in the potential of games inside of Web3. Take that first step. There is no specified launch date. It's already here. VCs who receive countless pitch decks and listens to thousands of ideas invested $30 billion into Web3 companies in 2021 across metaverse gateways, avatar creators, marketplaces, gaming studios, blockchain development companies. Established firms like A16Z, Tiger, and Sequoia have all raised multi-billion-dollar Web3 funds. Development in this space is a long-term play, but investment at this scale really means that Web3 is here to stay. The recent market pullback will certainly shake out some bad actors, and doors will be open to those who can provide true utility, values, and potentially some rules to this space. Games are the digital experiences of our time, and the core of successful titles in Web3 will probably look a lot like the core of successful titles in Web 1 and Web 2. That gameplay, should really leverage new technologies, but by no means be dictated by them. And so next are just three truths, simple truths that we should remember as we work towards mass adoption and gaming success in Web3. Gaming is a resilient industry. We live in an experience economy, one where humans prioritize experiences over goods and services. All of us here are in charge of creating authentic, connective, multi-dimensional worlds for people. Historically, during economic downturns, there is an inverse correlation in between player engagement and market conditions. An adjacent segment of entertainment, one that is also popular during recessions, is television. It also provides a temporary escape from stressors and pressures of life, but unlike gaming, it does not have any research showing a positive effect on our well-being over time. The fact that binge watching is an accepted term is wildly unfortunate, as studies state this style of consumption actually increases stress, anxiety, and depression over time. Gaming is undisputed largest segment within entertainment. It eclipses film, TV, and music combined. And so all of our efforts are needed now more than ever to control the direction of gaming inside of Web3. In up markets as well as down markets, individuals become gamers, who become guild members, who become team leaders, world creators, and community builders. Gaming, sure, it provides a temporary escape from reality, but it is much, much deeper than that. Games provide unbounded opportunities for self-expression, for collaboration, for community and accomplishment. During the height of the pandemic, we really saw this come to life. Gaming became a lifeline for many people. It became a relied upon tool for professionals in healthcare and education. 75% of the people who became mobile gamers during the peak of the pandemic will remain gamers. We're talking an influx of millions of people in a matter of years. And so we're riding a pretty large wave of momentum as we navigate these early days of Web3. And so let's acknowledge that we're lucky and fortunate to be a part of this industry during such a growth period, while remembering the humans that we play games, or that we make games for. And so let's focus on the fundamentals. At over 3 billion people, gamers represent around 40% of the global population. 77% of millennials and 81% of Gen Z identify as gamers. These two groups hold the vast majority of spending power. Compared to Gen X and baby boomers, these younger generations have really diversified their gaming engagement into a lifestyle. They play games, they create communities about games, they watch others play games, they listen to others talk about games. Inside the metaverse, the digital and physical worlds are going to blend seamlessly. Games will be available to play, but players will also have the opportunity to engage with different extensions of a game through branded experiences, social events, and other creative opportunities. Gameplay is going to be a critical mechanic in the core loop of metaverse entertainment. And so in the near term, let's focus on the fundamentals. Let's focus on ideas and titles that can drive consistent and stable revenue. In other words, let's prioritize the humans behind the screens, make resonating game experiences, and you will be rewarded with sustainable and valuable player bases. Remember that time in market is greater than time to market. In general, creating a game is hard. Creating a successful, profitable title that attracts and retains the community over time is even harder. But there's no better time than now. Web3 desperately needs more game diversity, and games have the opportunity to blend many of the positive aspects of Web3, like true asset ownership, interoperability, cross-chain expansion, community-first ideals. 55% of millennials that game own crypto versus just 5% of all millennials. Among gamers who own crypto, 80% are interested in using it for in-game purchases, and 67% hope that there are additional applications for use inside of gaming. The bottom line is the two largest generations in the world who control billions of dollars of spending power love video games, and either own or are interested in owning crypto for use inside of gaming. This is a huge reason why Web3 needs more quality games. Player bases need to be weighted towards true gamers, not just profit-driven retail traders masquerading as gamers. And so first movers are going to get some arrows in their back, but it's going to be the resilient pioneers that live to tell the story. And so this is a list of companies that were built during recessions. Anything is possible. And we certainly all can admit that the first chapter of Web3 has been a little bit rocky. You don't have to be a gaming industry veteran, a Web3 enthusiast, a financial analyst, a gamer to really understand that there is risk when combining capital investments into unstable financial ecosystems that are built on top of unfinished technology. As with any emerging market, those lines between capitalism and progress have collided very, very early. Play to own is the next play to earn. Play to own is the next revolution in gaming, but there are certainly many challenges ahead. We all understand the traditional gaming model. This is very oversimplified and reductionist. In Web3, gaming is the catalyst for a larger experience, but blockchain development only compounds the difficulties of traditional game development. In addition to your game team, it's do I need an economist to help me develop my token model and my NFT strategy? My development stack looks significantly different now as I consider, on-chain marketplaces, my wallet integration, my interoperability and cross-chain expansion. LiveOps needs to consider how to maintain an ecosystem of players that purchase and earn and expect sustainable asset values for their investments into your game. We all know the importance of a game gratuity, but how many of us love the current gratuity of cryptocurrency? It's going to take resilience by game studios, Web3 service providers, as well as players to really augment the on-ramp process for mass adoption. It's going to take collaboration to reduce those friction and churn points for players. Web3 needs great game studios making high-fidelity game experiences, but overall, success is going to be dependent on that player experience. And that is where Solsten comes in. So in the mid-2000s, a cultural anthropology and human factors student named Joe Sheffy was working in a neuropsychology lab at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, working on ideas on how to create digital environments that adapted to people in healthy ways. This became a core part of who he was as his career progressed through clinical psychology, adventure-based psychotherapy, UX design, and game design. And so 4 years ago, he and Bastian Bergman founded Solsten, recognizing that as we approach this next chapter of the internet, as the lines between the physical and the virtual start to blend, that we have an obligation to really start creating experiences that are truly human-centered. Solsten unlocks the power of human understanding by harmonizing behavioral and psychological data. Lisa Welch, who is the former VP of Strategy at Activision, classified our platform as the ultimate player empathy engine. Humans are far more than demographic data and observable behavior. We help studios safely understand their entire player base on a biopsychosocial level, which empowers them to hyper-personalize experiences based upon who their players are, not just what they do. We help teams creating in any genre, on any platform, at any stage of the roadmap. CCP came to us looking to inject new life into EVE Online, a game that's approaching 2 decades of age. And what we learned in working with them was that their audience was motivated by collaborative competition, not just competition for the sake of competition. And so we worked to create a new patooey with them that was really focused around teamwork and overcoming obstacles as part of a larger group. And the result was a double-digit increase in new player engagement and retention. In 2020, we started working with Mythical Games on Blanco's Block Party, which at the time was very much in pre-production. Their team had a wide variety of gaming experience, but an MMO with racer shooter elements and playable NFTs had never been done before. And so they understood the value that human-centered game design could have. And we've been a core part of the entire journey of Blancos, helping tackle core conversations early, like what is the potential market for this game? Who are the players that fit inside of that, and what are they interested in? And so we leveraged our extensive database of player insights to help them define their first audience and figure out what mechanics and what features that audience would really respond with well. And so after the game went live, we help them adjust their patooey, and we support them today through live ops and event optimization. We've worked with 8 out of the top 10 studios in the world, enhancing games for millions of players worldwide. Mass adoption of a game, mass adoption of an industry, can really be boiled down to obtaining trust. Player trust is a key component for longevity and community inside of a game. The relationship between player and publisher can be mutualistic if you choose to understand them at a deeper level. In painting the picture of a player, you are using a very, very limited color palette if you rely on post-action metrics. DAUs, ARPDAU, churn, ROAS, IAP, all of these are great and insightful metrics, but they're the same ones that we've been using for years, and games are only becoming more difficult to make and to market. But it doesn't have to be. By moving beyond post-action metrics and into the world of biopsychosocial data, you will be able to dimensionalize your players to a level not possible until now. Research teams can strengthen their insights by understanding the core psychological makeup of their players, assessing 400 different scientifically stable traits. UX and design teams can create customized experiences because they understand what art styles and themes and mechanics really resonate with those audiences. And marketing teams can confidently develop creative and amplification strategies because they understand their player communication preferences, their platform preferences, their demographics, their values, and their motivators. And studio heads can breathe just a little bit easier, knowing that there is a single source of truth that all game teams can align around. And so in closing, the game industry is growing at around 10%, faster than any segment within entertainment. And that is something that we can all be excited about. Web3 represents an open canvas on which the very definition of digital experience can evolve, but what it's going to take is going to be resonating quality game experiences. The companies and the individuals that are willing to embrace and prioritize human centricity and roadmap their dreams can emerge as the leaders of gaming inside of Web3. And so if any of you are interested in learning more about how psychological understanding can impact a current game or future game, please reach out to one of us after the session. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much. Any questions? Right. So I have a question actually. I was wondering, the tools that you just presented, wouldn't they be very suitable for Web 2 game as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Yes, and so that's the bulk of our portfolio is Web 2 games, and I think it's more just encouraging people as they think about play to earn, play to own in this space to really prioritize human centricity, because we've all seen how fragile these techno-social ecosystems are inside of Web3.
Very much. And also, do you see that companies who then use your product for Web2 are then looking sort of more into Web3 as well because of the more insights that they got through Solsten?
We haven't seen that direct correlation quite yet. I think for a lot of the studios that we work with, medium to large, they're still hesitant and they're trying to see how Web3 gameplay will play out. But I think overall, just regardless of what space you're in, that we can help.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a Wild West out there for sure.
It is.
Any other questions?